Predators and predation do inspire a certain uneasiness, and rightly so. Confronted with ravening jaws and poisoned fangs, needle-sharp teeth, pincers for crushing, claws and talons for shearing through hair and hide and rending the flesh of lesser creatures. But, to quote Jean d'Arst of the French Academy, without death there can be no life. In the struggle between predators and their prey, there is neither good nor evil, just co-participants, each playing out its role in the natural order of things. The meat-eater is the vegetarian's inevitable complement at every level of the animal kingdom. The stalker's strategy is matched against the quarry's skill in taking flight, the speed of the pursuer against the speed of the pursued. The odds favoring all contestants, the fight preserving life even when destroying it. That we commonly equate predators solely with the great carnivores is a serious misconception. Predation is a fact throughout the animal world. The kingfisher spearing a fish on its needle-sharp beak and the fly-catching caterpillar from Hawaii are as predatory as any of the more famous hunters. Whilst our imagination might be fired by, for example, tigers, lions or crocodiles, it's important to realize the diversity and the resulting balance within our fauna. In India, owls compete with the mongoose-like civet for small rodents, and the civet in turn compete with the praying mantis for grasshoppers, an obvious delicacy. The badger in North America also has a taste for small rodents, whereas the raccoon is an ardent fisherman whose tactile dexterity is superior to any other animals, including man, each digit controlled by its own part of the brain. The raccoon sees with its paws, so to speak, as is evidenced here in its pursuit of a crayfish. Another accomplished fisherman is the river otter sharing the raccoon's habitat. It will occasionally display traits we normally associate with cats, like playing with its stunned prey. For all their charm, the otter and the raccoon are predators feeding on smaller animals, as is indeed the grey whale travelling the ocean scooping up krill, a soup of very small crustaceans. Maybe not very dramatic, but still predation. The list and variety of animals not initially perceived as predators is almost endless. There is, however, a little-known carnivore that fully deserves this classification, the wolverine. The wolverine is, at 30 kilograms, the largest member of the weasel family and possibly, pound for pound, the strongest animal in the world. Also known as the glutton, it has a voracious appetite and will confront any competition for food. With a wolverine around, there's little chance these two coyotes will be able to enjoy their meal in peace. Being outnumbered or outweighed is nothing new to the wolverine, and the coyotes soon learn how close they can come to avoid the bone-crushing jaws of the intruder. The result of the struggle is inevitable, but then the wolverine has been known to chase off animals as large and powerful as bears. The wolverine can be found from Kamchatka to Scandinavia, and in the New World from the Arctic freeze to the northern United States, and it is at its best during the harsh winters of the region. Like the large polar bear, it has hairy soles and moves with ease on ice and snow, enabling it to creep up on rabbits or hares that it can't catch during summer. The kill is swift, merciless. Water, and particularly the ocean, has always been a source of fascination. We are drawn by its atmosphere of peace and tranquility, but this is often nothing more than an illusion. Predators are abundant, not least the shark. The shark is possibly the most efficient killer in the animal world. It is also the oldest living predator and hasn't changed noticeably for many million years. But then, how can you improve on perfection? It is hardly surprising that sharks have adapted to most marine environments and can be found virtually anywhere in our seas and oceans, in deep or shallow water. There are, in fact, around 280 different species, the largest being the whale shark, the sand tiger shark, the grey nurse shark, the hammerhead shark, and, of course, the great white shark, all dangerous to man. These razor-sharp teeth, which can cut a man in half and shear through an arm or a leg with no effort at all, make the great white the most feared of all sharks. The number of great whites has increased noticeably in the last few years, predominantly due to the increase in the now protected sea lion population, a part of the shark's staple diet. This surfer does look like a sea lion silhouetted against the sky and is a clear target for a shark attack, and attacks on humans are escalating. At one single beach in California, 3 people were attacked the same week, 1 fatal, 2 seriously injured. Though the shark is much maligned and attacks on humans are, despite the increase, still quite rare, it is a predator to treat with the utmost respect.
Let's fish a little.
The Australian golfer Greg Norman is doing just a little to redress the balance, trying to catch his namesake, the great white shark. Though, judging from what we see here, the shark stands a better than even chance, a truly magnificent animal. Crocodiles and alligators are the highest developed living reptiles and are the closest relatives of the large Mesozoic reptiles and not too distant cousins of the dinosaurs. Though presently an endangered species, crocodilians, as they are collectively known, have proliferated in tropical waters around the globe. The American alligator occurs solely in the southern United States and is most common in the Florida Everglades. It shares this lush environment with a varied wildlife, including raccoons, barn owls, the diamond-backed rattlesnake, the most dangerous snake in North America, moss-backed turtles, and an extremely rich bird life, including pelicans, anhingas, and of course the heron, here adopting a very cavalier attitude to a nearby alligator. The alligator is, not surprisingly, the dominant predator of this watery domain and a potential danger to all other species, as this young raccoon, a recent arrival from further north, is about to find out. This time the raccoon escaped with a fright, but he gets his revenge, lunching on alligator eggs. The alligator is quite aware of the danger, but must take a dip to cool off in the midday sun, and this is the raccoon's chance. Meanwhile, a large alligator, they can exceed 15 feet, cruises for food, the most likely target the egret that builds its nests precariously close to the alligator pool. This is a calculated risk, because while these locations discourage attacks by other predators, the birds sometimes pay the price. Alligators are not only formidable predators, they also guard their domain jealously. Territorial dispute brings out the worst in alligators. If they can't get a hunting space of their own, there is trouble. The Nile crocodile is much larger than its New World relative, like this 20-foot monster. It feeds on game, such as wildebeests and other antelopes, caught when they come to drink and dragged underwater until they drown, and on fish and the occasional bird. But the crocodile is not only predator, also prey. The newly hatched crocodiles have many enemies, including a variety of birds. However, to restore some balance, an unfortunate egret caught on the water serves as a light snack. While the American alligator rarely attacks man, Nile crocodiles have been known to do so occasionally. But the most dangerous of all the crocodilians is the saltwater crocodile, found in the coastal regions in southern Asia and northern Australia. This giant reptile is extremely dangerous to man, fierce and easily aroused. Underneath the yellow tarpaulin are the remains of Australian fisherman Eric McLaughlin, who sadly thought he could swim to the other bank of a crocodile-infested estuary. His friends could barely recognize him. Snakes and lizards are grouped together under the name squamata, or scaly reptiles, and they are all predators. The largest lizard is the monitor lizard, and this 5-foot Australian version, feeding on fish, snakes, birds and small mammals, is but a small version of the Komodo dragon of the Indonesian islands of Komodo and Flores. This relic of giant reptiles long extinct reaches a length of 10 feet and feeds on young deer, wild pigs, and will attack wild horses. The cry of a young injured flying fox is an open invitation to a hungry lizard, though it has to be said that it is more smell than the sound that reveal the potential prey's precarious situation. The snake-like tongue acts as a nose, detecting scent particles. Like the snakes, lizards can unhinge their jaws, thus swallow their prey whole. One might think the extended wings of the flying fox could cause a problem, but the monitor lizard is very experienced with this type of prey, and in time, everything disappears. The pattern and colouring of the boa constrictor makes it very hard to detect, as here, when it is lying perfectly still, anticipating the movement of its prey. The boa constrictor always strikes with its mouth wide open and with great force, often stunning the prey by the impact. The coil is quickly applied, and the victim can rarely utter more than 2 screams, as with each expulsion of air, the boa constricts further, making inhalation impossible. The animal suffocates. The prey is held in the vice-like grip for sufficient time to ensure that it is quite dead. Then the boa slowly uncoils. If the snake finds the grip in the wrong position, it will try to manipulate the kill to the right position, that is, head first, or just let go completely for a while. There is no hurry. This boa constrictor is about 12 to 13 feet long and feeds predominantly on birds, and as here, small mammals. It's found all over tropical America and in the West Indies. It is not dangerous to man, unlike another member of the same family, the python, particularly the reticulated python of East Asia, which can reach an incredible 30 feet and has been known to swallow a bear weighing some 80 kilograms, the same as a large man. The snake's remarkable swallowing powers enables it to eat animals several times its own diameter. This is possible because the 2 parts of the lower jaw are articulated to the cranium by 2 lever-like bones which enable the mouth to open widely. The suppleness of the skin is a further helpful feature. A special breathing canal placed at the bottom of the mouth prevents suffocation. The boa has, like all snakes, very strong gastric fluids that help the digestion. Even bones are digested, and the only remains of the rabbit will be a small fur ball disgorged after a few days of rest. South America's only rattlesnake, the cascabel, or neotropical rattlesnake, member of the pit viper family, is occasionally found in the same habitat as the boa constrictor. In this setting, the rattlesnake has taken up a favorite position, anticipating events. This snake rarely pursues its prey, but strikes when it is within distance. The strike is lightning fast. 1/10 of a second is all it takes. The neotropical's venom contains an unusual quantity of neurotoxins which paralyzes the victim's neck almost instantaneously. The rat can no longer turn its neck. That the rattlesnake opens its mouth wide doesn't signify boredom. It is detaching its bottom jaw in preparation for swallowing the prey. Vipers have an interesting way of swallowing the prey. They walk it in, so to speak, by extending their upper fangs alternately, much like a man hauling in a rope. It may look laborious, but it is effective. The snake does not start feeding till the prey is dead, and this rat has shown a great deal of resistance, but eventually it succumbs. During the swallowing process, venom is continuously being injected as it helps the digestive process, breaking down tissue. As we saw earlier with the boa, the only thing ever to be seen of the rat again is a small fur ball brought up when the digestion is completed. And a few days later, the whole process starts all over again. Amongst birds of prey, the most impressive are the eagles and none more so than the golden eagle. This majestic bird is found as a rare species in the forests and mountains of Europe, Asia, and in North America, the home of the bald eagle, famous as the national emblem of the USA. The bald eagle is the thunderbird of Indian lore, revered as a great spirit and praised in ritual chants and dances. It lives almost exclusively on fish and picks up a large salmon in its powerful talons with ease. Due to its diet of fish, the bald eagle likes to nest within easy distance of river or coastline and prefers old forest, needing the big trees to support a nest that can weigh several tons. The golden eagle builds an equally big or even bigger nest. Some branches are as thick as a man's arm, a very strong bird indeed. That the eagle is a natural-born predator becomes obvious if one takes a close look at the beak. It is extremely powerful and designed to tear flesh into suitable chunks. But the golden eagle is at its most magnificent when on the wing, with a wingspan often exceeding 7 feet. Great muscular strength allows it to carry off in its talons prey as large as small deer, goats, or, as here, a hare. As with most expert predators, the kill is swift and competent. The destiny of the polar hare decided from the moment it was spotted by this large bird. The adage eagle eyes is more than a mere cliché. The young eaglets are quite unaware of the drama that has taken place. This is just another feed for the greatest predator of the skies. Bears have a rather ambivalent reputation. On one hand, gentle giants, and on the other, ferocious predators, and neither describes these animals properly. The black bear here can appear friendly and is only really dangerous when aroused, but the much larger grizzly is virtually always confrontational. The grizzly is also the only animal the black bear is really afraid of. Another fact that adds to the confused reputation is that bears are not 100% carnivorous. As omnivorous animals, they will feed on fruit, berries, fish and game. Actually, the black bear could quite happily live on apples and honey. It has a rather sweet tooth. Honey is such a temptation to the bear that it will risk the fury of the swarm. Though the bees can't penetrate the bear's fur, it is vulnerable on its snout and in its mouth. Still, honey, bark and bees get swallowed indiscriminately. But eventually it gets too much, even for this bear, and refuge is sought in a cooling river. Next to honey, apples are the favorite food of the black bear. There is a proliferation of apple orchards in the northern United States and Canada, and not all the fruit end up as intended as cider or apple pie. The black bear will go to great lengths to ensure that it gets its rightful share. The black bear is aware that it is an unwelcome guest and approaches with caution, but determination. As was the case with the honey, no discomfort or danger will deter the bear from reaching the objective. Incidentally, a hungry black bear can easily eat in excess of 40 pounds of apples in one sitting. After feeding 1 to 3 years in the river, the young salmons migrate to the sea to feed for a further 1 to 3 years. They then return to the very same river from where they came to mate, spawn, and eventually die. When the salmon migrate, there are rich pickings for many of nature's natural fishermen, such as the river otter. Though there are more than enough salmon for all, the otters can't help quarrelling over the food, but the disagreement is solved in a most unsatisfactory fashion. The bear has also decided on salmon for lunch, and there is no way that the otters are going to give someone that large an argument. That the black bear has chosen to steal another animal's sushi can only be put down to laziness. The bear is quite capable of catching its own fish, as we will see a little later. We observed earlier the tactile dexterity of the raccoon. This talent also comes to good use during the salmon migration period. This raccoon has spotted an exhausted salmon and in a moment is able to run it down. The raccoon happens to be a distant cousin of the bear. Like bears, they range widely, and like bears, they will eat almost anything, as long as not too much work is involved. Of the two, the raccoon is the better fisherman, but since bears are just as fond of salmons as raccoons, the smaller animal must share the fate of the otter and give up its catch. There are times, however, when the bear has to do its own fishing. If a bear is hungry and there's nobody to steal from, there really isn't much of a choice. This variety of brown bear from Alaska, the Kodiak bear, adopts a very direct approach, sticking its head underneath the surface to see what's available. The subsequent plunge may look clumsy and with little purpose, but you don't look after hungry bear cubs without a well-developed predatorial instinct and ability, and it doesn't take long before the first salmon is caught. The bear's fishing technique differs dependent on the conditions. Here it lunges and traps the fish between paws and jaws. In shallow water, it will either trap the fish between rocks or scoop it out of the water with a sweep of a powerful paw. Bears hibernate, though they don't go into a deep sleep like, for example, the marmot or dormouse, but have periods of wakefulness. They start looking for a suitable place around October and come out of the lair around March, April when the snow is still on the ground. This is the time bears are at their most dangerous. They haven't eaten or drunk for some 5 months and may appear in a hostile environment, like this grizzly. The choice and availability of food are limited, and a vegetarian diet is out of the question. Black and brown bear, including the grizzly, will kill deer, elks, and occasionally domestic animals, but will not attack man unless threatened. Surrounded by hunters and hounds, a bear does become a fearsome adversary. The grizzly has picked up the scent of an unsuspecting elk and can approach silently over the snow-covered ground, even at speed. A nearby wolverine becomes aware of the hunt and will follow in the hope of a free meal. The wolverine can now smell the blood of the prey and is excited, but also very cautious. After all, he is dealing with a predator that has just killed an elk with a single blow of its paw and is displaying all the signs of being in a frenzy, tossing the dead elk around like a rag doll. Despite the obvious difference in size, the grizzly must have got tired of the constant attention of the wolverine and tears off a leg to retire to eat in peace. And the overgrown weasel can settle down to a quite undeserved meal. But maybe it is right that two of the fiercest predators of the region should share. The northwest of Northern America is one of the few places where the mountain lion or cougar still can be found in reasonable numbers. This shy cat values isolation above anything else. Mountain lions are loners. Breeding pairs come together for only 2 weeks of the year. 3 months later, in a rocky cave or similar secluded hideaway, the female gives birth, usually in the spring or early summer. As soon as the cub is born, the mother licks it clean. The litter of cubs, numbering normally from 2 to 6, are born about an hour apart, with their eyes closed and their coat noticeably spotted. As they mature, the spots will gradually fade from their coats. The cubs are totally dependent for the first 2 years of life. Though they are born with some inherent skills, the mother has to teach them how to hunt and kill the prey mountain lions feed on, such as hare, mule deer, and doe. It may be significant that the mountain lion's desire to be alone also emphasizes the need to avoid man. It will take about 2 weeks before their eyes open completely, and they will sleep for long periods. Over the next few months, the mountain lion cubs are at their most vulnerable. The mountain lion is strongly territorial and defends its domain vigorously. A straying coyote is not only seen as a trespasser, but as a potential danger to the cubs, and action must be taken. Though the mountain lion is, like most higher species, essentially peaceful and tries to avoid confrontation with both man and other animals, it will, if threatened or cornered, do whatever is necessary to survive, and a female is particularly dangerous when looking after her young. Here the coyote is aware of the danger and realizes that it is better off somewhere else. It leaves for less intimidating surroundings. Back at the cave, the cubs are exploring a new and strange world, unaware of any danger they may be exposed to, but a caring mother is never far away. The lion cubs are still 100% dependent on mother's milk and won't be taking solid food for several weeks after birth. But rearing is not only about feeding, it also involves training for the future, and the games played between mother and cub and between the cubs is not solely for leisure, but a very important step in learning the skills of hunting and survival. Feeding a healthy litter drains the mother, and she must feed regularly. Before she goes on her hunting trips, she makes sure that the cubs are secure in the cave, accepting no arguments from any of her young. Mountain lions do not kill just for the sake of killing. Under normal conditions, they kill only when they are hungry or when they have young cubs to feed. Like most predators, it eats what is most easily obtained, and here their favorite quarry is the mule deer. The deer appears vaguely aware of danger. The mountain lion has to approach cautiously to get unnoticed within striking range, as it can only maintain a speed sufficient to catch the prey over a certain distance. But in this case, the kill is successful. As part of the training, the mountain lion will take her cubs on increasingly long forays outside the cave. This is an exciting time for the apprentice predators. Everything is a potential adventure, or more important, food. But the tortoise is well protected, and try as hard as they may, there is just no way the cubs can prise this hard shell open, and they have to leave for easier pickings. And the tortoise finds the whole incident a bore. Not everything in this new world is as peaceful as the tortoise. The bite of this rattlesnake would kill the cubs in a few minutes. However, the snake is not intent on attack, as the young mountain lion is too big to swallow. It wants to be left alone, but will strike if it feels too threatened. Nothing happened, but the female mountain lion does keep a watchful eye. With the cubs growing, mother's milk is no longer enough and meat must be provided. The mule deer senses the danger, but the mountain lion is close enough to use its superior sprint to catch and bring down the quarry, breaking its neck almost on impact. A mountain lion can eat up to 30 pounds of meat at a single sitting, but the mule deer provides sufficient food for the lion not having to hunt for a few days. There is, however, another neighboring predator that still poses an immediate threat, namely the bobcat. The bobcat is a member of the lynx family and is widespread in North America. As a predator, it will hunt anything including birds, small rodents, hares and young deer. Accepting a varied diet has helped the bobcat survive the spread of agriculture. It stands about 2 feet at the shoulders and is some 3 feet long, excluding the stumpy tail that gives the bobcat its name. When hunting, even the slightest sound will alert the bobcat, and it immediately drops into a stalk. The bobcat seldom tracks its prey by using a scent trail, but relies on sharp eyesight and extremely acute hearing. The success of the hunt depends on getting close enough for a rush. Cats are sprinters, not stayers. During a long stalk, or if the bobcat feels that the prey is alerted, the bobcat will advance in short, quick movements, thereby avoiding detection. The final rush is preempted by a sudden movement of the rabbit. The bobcat shows amazing agility, matching the rabbit's every twist and turn until the prey is finally brought down and killed by a bite that breaks its neck. The bobcat's prowess as a hunter is best observed when it is catching birds. An expert climber, it reaches the designated branch in seconds and literally picks the bird out of the air. Besides the tiger, the old world cats with the highest profile are the leopard, the lion, and the cheetah. Despite its reputation, the cheetah is not generically classified as a big cat, i.e. Panthera. Neither is it classified with the smaller cats, Felis, but has its own classification, Acinonyx. It shows certain dog-like characters. It has long legs, does not climb, and its claws are blunt and non-retractile. It is also known as the hunting leopard and has been trained for hunting from very early times. This young wildebeest was born only a few days ago and is at its most vulnerable. When the cheetah is getting within range, it behaves uninterested, but the herd is nervous, and with good reason, because the cheetah is actually quietly selecting its prey. The kill takes place in a cloud of dust and to the sound of pounding hooves. The cheetah doesn't normally have the strength to break its quarry's neck, but will strangle it by a powerful bite to the throat and then wait patiently until, as here, the prey animal is quite dead. When the prey is dragged to safety, the cheetah will first feed on blood and entrails, often not touching the rest of the carcass, and it only returns to a previous day's kill in case of extreme hardship. This female reedbuck has her youngster hidden in the long grass, but to no avail. It is spotted by the cheetah, and there is only the briefest of chases. The cheetah really is the ultimate hunter. Everything about this cat supports its specialization. When a prey has been selected, the focus is 100% and the acceleration is a study in coordination and sheer power. The cheetah will reach an astonishing 70 miles per hour, making it the fastest land animal in the world. As mentioned, cheetahs do not have the power to break the neck of their prey, but kill by strangulation. This means that they have to hunt smaller and quicker antelopes and are reliant on their great speed and agility for their very survival. An antelope dies and the cheetahs sustain life for another few days. But it should be remembered that what man may perceive as cruelty is nature's very reason for survival. The leopard is, unlike the cheetah, a true felidae and classified as a big cat, Panthera pardus, and can be found both in Asia and here in Africa. It hunts ceaselessly and will prey on birds and monkeys, particularly baboons, as well as antelopes and cattle. If a leopard becomes a man-eater, it can be more dangerous than lions or tigers. In the central province of India, a leopard killed more than 200 people, even coming into homes to find its prey. The leopard is possibly the most athletic of all cats. It is good at running, jumping, tree climbing, and swimming across rivers. It is rarely seen, even by its victims. And though this bush pig has been spotted by the leopard, it is quite unaware of the big cat's presence. This big cat is a formidable predator, standing in excess of 3 feet at the shoulders and reaching a length of 6 feet plus, excluding the tail. The bush pig is still not aware of the danger. Whilst most animals are camouflaged for defense, the leopard's spots are there to disguise his attack. Finally, the bush pig spots the danger and turns to get away, but too late. The leopard is within striking distance. But the bush pig turns out not to be an easy prey, and more of an opponent than the leopard ever dreamed of. It fights back bravely, and even though the big cat has a firm grip on its snout, the bush pig eventually manages to tear itself loose, though not completely without injuries. A confrontation between a leopard and a bush pig will virtually always end with the demise of the latter. This is indeed a rare event we are witnessing, and the bush pig a very brave individual that even turns against its pursuer. There is no reason to be concerned for the leopard. It is, despite the present evidence, an accomplished hunter and will soon find alternative and more accommodating prey. A lioness walking alone across the plain is rarely perceived as a threat by the zebra. Single lions seldom attack larger prey, preferring to hunt as a pride. Though zebras are part of lions' staple diet, this couple feels safe enough to play without any particular worry. Despite its fearful reputation and fame as king of the jungle, the lion is quite lazy and possibly the most lethargic of all predators. Some people claim that if the lion didn't have to feed, it would never get up on all fours. Lazing about, enjoying the shade on a hot day is definitely a favorite occupation. But feed it must, and when required, the lion is as efficient a hunter as can be found. This young male makes easy work of running down this antelope and kills it with a single powerful bite to the neck. Larger animals like this buffalo can't be brought down by a single lion. Even this pride of young lions are having some considerable difficulties. They are still quite inadequate, but will eventually acquire sufficient expertise not to shame the name of King Lion. This introduction to predators would not be complete without mentioning the species that benefit directly from predation, namely the scavenger. Scavengers are animals that feed almost exclusively on carrion and fecal matter. The species that is almost synonymous with scavenging is, of course, the vulture, found both in the New and the Old World. The vulture is adapted neither for hunting at high speed nor for fighting. It does have strong claws and beak for shearing and dismembering dead animals, and often a featherless head and neck, enabling it to get the whole head into a corpse. Strong digestive juices take care of the rest. In nature, nothing is wasted. We have here seen nature at its most heartless if measured by a human yardstick. But it is also nature at its most functional, and hopefully demonstrated the reason for the quote in the beginning. Without death, there can be no life.